Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to create this work page music analysis dashboard using Spotify dataset. So we're going to clean this dataset, we'll treat errors, we'll treat missing values, we'll even create a column from an existing column. And of course, I'm going to show you how to structure and design your dashboard background from PowerPoint, and then you now import it into Power BI, and we'll also use Power BI new visuals, and I'll show you how to edit interactions between your different visuals. So let's get started with this project. So first, once I open up my Power BI desktop, I'm going to click on Get Data because the data is an Excel workbook. So I'm just going to select Excel workbook. Then I'm going to select the data set and then click to open it. So on this navigator dialog box now, this data set actually has two sheets. The first one is data dictionary, which just gives like explanation of the different columns within this data set. And the second one is the Spotify data set. So I want to import only the Spotify data set. I'm going to unselect this data dictionary. So you can see from the data set that it contains the track name, the artist, the different the number of streams, including different statistics about each of those tracks. So I'm just going to select transform data. So after clicking on transform data, my Power Query editor has opened up because this is where I'm going to perform all the data cleaning and transformations I need to do. So first off, I can see that from the track name column here, it's taking up two data type, the text and the numerical data type. This is because from this track name, most of the song titles have numerical values. So, but I want all of them to have data type of text. So I'm just going to select this data type. I'll click on it and then scroll down to select text because I want it to appear as a text data type. Then I can scroll over. So what you see here is a column distribution and column quality. If you want to turn this on, you just click on view tab. Once you click on view tab, you see column distribution. So if I unselect it, you see that my column distribution is off. And if I also unselect the column quality, you can see that it's off. But I like to turn it on because it gives me an overview of the data set. So you can see for the column quality, it's already telling me the percentage of valid values I have within this column. And it also tells me if I have errors in the column or not. And it also shows me if I have empty values or not. So for this particular column, I don't have errors. There are no empty values within this particular column. So I can just scroll to check the data types of the other columns. So I'll just scroll. So as I'm scrolling, you can see for this column called streams. So I can see that there is an error in this column and this column is not entirely valid. So we need to treat this error. But first, let's see how many rows contain this particular error. So I'm going to select this column. Once I select this column, I'll click back on Home tab. Then I'll come to Reduce Rows group. Under this Reduce Rows group, I'll click on Keep Rows. Then I'll scroll down to Keep Errors. So after scrolling down to keep errors, you can see that I have only one row that contains this error. And what I'm going to do is that I am going to drop the entire row that contains this particular error. So let me return back to how my data set was previously before I applied this transformation. In order to do that, I'll just quickly remove that particular transformation step of keeping errors from this applied step. So once I remove that, it has gone back to how it was before. So in order for me to remove that error rows, I'll still select back on the stream column and come over to remove rows. Once I click on remove rows, I'll scroll down to remove errors. And once I click to remove errors, you can see from the column quality that the values here are now valid. There is no more errors in this particular column, and there is no empty values in this particular column. So we've transformed that particular column right now. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'll just keep scrolling to check for the data type and see if there's anything I need to fix in any other column. So scrolling down here, I can see in the key column that I have empty cells, which is up to about 10%. And also I have the values that are valid here is up to 90%. So this columns are empty are being labeled as null. So if I filter to see how many rows now, let's select, I'm going to select null. So that's me filtering to see how many rows. You can see that I have up to, for this key column, I have up to 95 rows. From here, you can see the rows. I have up to 95 rows of this column that have null. So what I'm going to do is that I am going to replace those values with a text. So I'll just clear off this filter. Once I clear off this filter, still selecting this column, I'm going to come over to the transform group and click on replace values. So once I click to replace values, under the value to find, I'm going to type null. So this is case sensitive. So you have to type the value you want to replace the way it is. So I'm going to type null and I want to replace it with none, since that is a text, that is that particular column is actually has a text data type. So I'm going to type none and then I'll click OK. So you can see that all the values have been replaced because this column quality already has removed the entire empty row. So our values are now valid at 100%. Then if I look at here, this column that says in Shazam chart, I can see that we have empty rows up to 5%. So what I'm going to do, I'm also going to replace the null values here. But since it's a numerical value, I'm going to replace it with 0. So first I'll select the Shazam chart column and click on replace values. Once I click on replace values, I'm going to type null because that is the value I want to find. I want to replace it with 0 and then I click OK. Once I click OK, you see that the empty values have been removed from that particular chart. So I can just scroll to check if there's any other thing that needs to be fixed within this data set. And I can see that all my data sets is actually valid. But if I scroll back here, you can see that this particular data set have three columns for released year, released month, and released day. But I want only one column to carry, I want only one date column to have both year, month, and day together. I don't want to import it with these three different columns. So what I can do is to select the three columns. So I'm going to press my Control key down and select the three columns. Once I select those three columns, I'll come over to Add Column tab and click on it. Then I'll select columns from example and scroll down to select from selection. Once I click from selections, these are the three columns that I have selected. So how this creating from selection works is that I'm going to type examples. So it says add column from examples. So the way I want my date to appear, I want my date to display as month, day, and year. So I'm going to first of all type the first month for this first row. The first month is 7th. 7th is the first month, that's July. I'm going to use a forward slash and the day is 14th, then forward slash and 2023. Then I'm going to press enter. So once I press enter, I'm going to type the same thing as I did for the first row. So I'm going to start with the month, which is 3, that is March, and the day is 23rd March, and I'm going to put a forward slash and type in the year. So once I press enter, you can see that Power Query has automatically detected the date from from these two examples I created here. So it has automatically detected the date for the entire row, and I can now click OK. Once I click OK, you can see that a new date column has been created within this my data set, and this new date column was created from existing columns that we had already within this data set. So I'll just quickly reorder this column. So I'll just reorder this column to this point, and this is my date column. So since I now have one date column, I'm going to remove the other three columns, which is release year, month, and release day. So I'm going to select them, press my Control key, select the three columns, and then right click on it. Then I'll click on remove columns. So you can see that the columns have been removed from this data set now. So any transformation that you apply within your data set is going to show here on these applied steps. If you make any mistake, you can always remove whatever transformation that you've performed, and it will take you back to how your data set was originally. Okay, so for now I'm done with cleaning this data set. If I need to do any other thing as I progress along in this analysis, I can always come back to Power Query editor to do any of that. So for now, my data set is clean, and I can click on Home tab. I'll now select Close and Apply, and I'll click Close and Apply. So after clicking on Close and Apply, my data set has been loaded into Power Query report. So we can start creating our report. But remember that we have a date column in our data set. And I think it's best practice that if you have a date column within your data set, that you should always create a date table that you can mark as an official date table. So in order to create the date table, I'll just click on Table View, and once I click on table view, I'll click on new table because it's a new table I want to create. I'll click on new table, and I'm going to type this formula. If you want to know how you can create dates table with one single formula, please watch this video right here. It's going to explain everything. So these are the different columns that will be contained in my dates table. And once I'm done, I'm just going to press enter. After pressing enter, I can see that all the columns are being created in my dates table. So I can quickly mark this as a date table. So if I want to mark it as a date table, I'll just click here, or you right click on this particular table right here on the data pane. So I'll just click and mark as date table. And the column I want to select is the date column, and I'll click OK. So once I'm done with that, I have two other things to do with this date table. I want to sort the month name and the day name. So I'm going to sort the month name such that when we use it in a visual, it's going to show in a chronological order. So we don't have to come back to table view to do all of that. So if I click on month name here, if I click on month name, you can see under the column tools, the sort group. I'll select sort by, and I'll scroll down to month because I want to sort it by month. So I've sorted that by month, and I'll do the same thing for day name. So if I click on day name column, I'm going to select sort by column, and I'm going to select day of week. So with that, I've been able to sort those two columns, and we're done with our date table for now. So I'll quickly go to my model view here. Because I have created a new table, so I have to come and create relationships between those two tables. So I'm going to, under this model view, I'm going to select the dates column from the Spotify dataset and drag it and join it with the dates column in the calendar table. So you can see that Power BI has created a one-to-many relationship between these two tables. Okay, so that's that for now, and I'm going to click back on my report view. So right here on my report view, before I go ahead to start creating visuals, let me show you how to structure and design your dashboard background in PowerPoint. You can use any other design tool, but I like to use PowerPoint, and that is what we're going to use right now. So if I go to my PowerPoint page, so this is PowerPoint, and I want to insert a rectangle. So there are shortcuts to do all of this, but for this particular project, I'm just going to insert the rectangle and drag it down here. And I'm going to click on the shape format. I always love to remove the outline of my shape. I'm going to click on shape outline. I don't want it to have any outline. Then for the shape fill, I'm going to scroll down. I'm not going to fill it with a plain color. I'll just scroll down to where I have gradient. So in this gradient, you have the light variations, and you also have the dark variations. You can choose any particular part of the gradient any type of gradient that you want. So I'm going to choose this one. And once I choose that, I will right click. Once I right click, I'm going to scroll down to click on format shape. So the format shape pane is going to show here. Then I'm going to click on fill. So you can see these are the gradient stops for this particular gradient that is showing here. So you can always select it now to change the color. So in order for me to change the colors of these gradients, this one is already selected. So I'm going to select this color, and choose the color that I want. Then I'm going to select the second gradient stop and choose a black color. That particular color, I think is too black. Let me use this. Then I'm going to put another stop. For the second other stop, I want to put another green color. And for this last one here, I want to put the let's still use the black color. So for these gradient stops now, you can change the position, you can change the transparency or the brightness anyhow you want to do it. It's your choice. Just make it just create your background the way you prefer to. So for my gradient stop here, the first one, I'm just going to scroll down because I want it to stay in position 19. Okay, so that is it. It's even giving 18. So you can also type the position that you want if you already know the position, or you can just drag it along. You see the changes in your shape as you are dragging, so you can choose any one that you want to. Then for this second one, I want it to have stop of 60, and this one, the other one, I want it to have like 71. Okay, and this one is 100. So to me, this gradient is okay. If I need to change anything, I can always change it later. So right here, as you can, okay, I think this is okay. This is cool. So right here, if you want to change any of them, this particular preset gradients, you can select and choose from any of these variations here. Or if you don't want to choose any of that, if you want to change the type of gradients, you want to change it from linear to radial or any other type, you can actually select it from here. So for me, this is how I want my gradient to look like, and I'm going to leave it for now. So I'll quickly insert another shape. So when I click on insert, I'm going to insert this rectangle shape, and this rectangle shape is going to hold my logo and some filters. So I'm going to just select it, and okay, I'll place it right there. And I'm going to select the shape format. I'm going to remove the outline. I don't love outlines in my shape. Then I'm going to choose this color for it. I'll give it a shadow effect. So I'll click on shape effect and click on shadow, and that is it. So instead of inserting another shape, I'm just going to duplicate this shape by copying and pasting, and I'll drag it down here. I readjust it just a little bit. Then since this is not the exact shape I want, I can change this shape. Under the shape format, I'll come to edit shape, and I want to change the shape to a rounded rectangle. So that is the shape I want, and I'm going to drag it down here. I'm just going to drag it a little. So you can see this rounded rectangle is really round, and I want to adjust it a little bit to the edge. So you see this yellow dots here, I'm just going to point my cursor there and drag it a little. So you can see that the rounded rectangle is already adjusting. Then I can just place it right here. This is how I want the shape to look like, and I think it's okay like this, perfect like this. So I'm just going to drag this right here. Okay. So for this transparency, for this particular shape, I'm going to give it a transparency of 30. This is how I want it to display. Then I'm going to now duplicate this and place it right here. Let me shift it a little because I need to increase this. So I'm going to do this, place it right there and readjust. Okay. Then I'm also going to duplicate this and bring it down to this point. I'm just going to readjust it and keep it here. So this is basically my dashboard background. So I'm just going to click on insert tab right now. I want to insert pictures from this device. Then I basically want to use all of these pictures. So first off, I'll just select this Spotify logo and bring it down here. Then I'm going to readjust it and place it where it should be. So I'm going to place it here and just keep on readjusting it to the size that I want. So I'm going to place it right there. And after placing it right there, I'll quickly insert a text box. So this text box, I'm going to type the title. So the title is Spotify Music Analysis. So because it's on that background, I can't really see what's there, but let me change the font color to white. And once I change the font color to white, I can equally change the font size. Then I make it bold and let me just adjust it. Then I'll bring it up here. Still looking a bit small, but it's okay. I'm going to insert a line to this my dashboard. So I'm going to insert this line right here. And for lines just have shape outline. There's nothing to fill in a line. So I'm going to allow the outline and I want the green color. Then I can also increase the weight of the line. So I'll select weight and I'll scroll down to this weight. I think I prefer that weight. So that's the weight of the line. So that should be it. That's cool. So I'm going to insert some other pictures into this. So I'm going to select from device. So since I need these three images, I'm going to select the three of them at once and insert them. Then I'm going to just readjust it a little bit. Once I'm done readjusting, I'll now place them where they need to be. I'll now place them where they need to be. So this is the second one and this is the third one. I think this place is okay for it. Yeah, I want to align them properly. So that is perfect for me. So this is actually how my background is going to look like. I just want it to be this simple and easy. Okay. So I'm done with okay. So I'm done with the background for now. I'm going to select everything in this background and group them together. So I'll press Ctrl A to select every single thing. I'll right click and come over to group. Once I'm done grouping, once I'm done grouping, I want to save it as a picture. So I right click and select save as a picture. And I want to save it. So I'm going to save it here as Spotify background. So I'm quickly going to type the file name and click save. So I have saved this background as Spotify background. So let's go back to our Power BI desktop. So back to my Power BI, I'm going to import that background I have created in PowerPoint over to Power BI. In order to do that, I'll just click on Format Report page and I'll scroll down to Canvas background. Then I'll select to browse the image. Then I'm going to select this image right here and click to open it. Then under image fit, I'm going to select fit. So it's going to fit well into this particular canvas and you can see that the beauty of the background is already coming out. Okay, so this is the background I have imported into my report. So what I'm going to start first by doing is to show the KPIs. So I'm going to show the total streams. By that, I'll first of all click on the visual that I want to use. So I'm going to click on a card visual, and once I click on this card visual, I'll just readjust it. Let me just readjust the card visual and place it here. Then I'm going to click on streams. So it's going to show the total streams on this card visual. So what I am going to do right now is for the call out value, I want to reduce it to, let's say, 35. I want to reduce it to 35 and I'm going to change it to this color. I'm going to change it to that color. Then I'm going to remove the category label. I don't want the category label there because I'm going to use select a title. So I'll select general, turn on the title and give it a title. So I'll say total streams. or you can give it streams or any other descriptive title. So I'll say total streams, and the text color for this title, I want it to have this color. Then I'm going to align it to the center. So after then, still under the general tab, I'm going to select effect and remove the background of this general tab. So if I reduce it a bit, this is what it looks like. I can still reduce I'll come to visual, click on colored value and reduce the value, the font size for that colored value. So if I reduce the font size of this color value, this is what it looks like. So this is for the first one. I'm going to just copy and paste for this second. I'm going to just copy and paste for the second one, and I'm going to copy and paste for the third one also. So for this second one, I want to show the number of tracks. So I'm going to click off the stream and click tracks. So for these tracks, I'm going to just select back on the visual, click on this first track name, and now select count because I want it to count the total number of tracks. I'll readjust this and come back to the title. Come back to format visual and click on general. I'm going to change the title because this one is number of tracks. So I can just give it the title tracks. At least you can see it, since it's a number, you know that is the number of tracks there. Then for this last one, we want the average stream. So I'm going to select back on adding data to visual. So I'll change this sum to average. So once I change the sum to average, I'll click on format your visual. Then under the callout value, I don't want this value to have decimal places. So I'm going to type 0 right here on value decimal places. And I'll go to general tab and click on title because I want to change it to average streams. So that is going to be the title of that. So this is basically, let me just reduce this a bit. Okay. So this is basically my KPIs for this particular data set. Like I said, it's going to be a very simple data set. Okay. So you can modify anything you want to modify when you're trying this out. Okay, so that's for that. The next thing I am going to create right now is to show the yearly streams of each of these data sets. In order to do that, I'll click on line chart. And for this line chart, I'll just quickly place it here. And I'm going to click on the year. So I'll scroll over and I'll select from my calendar table. I'm going to select the date for my calendar table, and I'll come over to my Spotify data set to select the streams. So you can see the stream. So this data set spans from 1930 up until 2023. So this is the data set. This is the visual here for this. So let me just place it right here. I want to align it properly. Okay, so that is it. It's then for here, I'll come over to my x-axis. First off, let me go to general tab and remove the background. So after removing the background, I'll come over here and click on grid lines because I want to remove the vertical grid lines. So I'm going to turn off the vertical grid lines. I want the horizontal grid lines to stay. Then I'm going to click back on it. Then for my y-axis, I'm going to change the color of this particular font. So I'm going to change the color to this particular color. And for the x-axis too, I'll do similar thing. Okay, for the title, I have to change the color too. I want to change the color of these titles so that you can see what the title says. Title says streams. So I'm just quickly going to change the font size. So let me increase the font size to 12, and I'm also going to increase the font size for the values as well. I'll increase it to 12. I want it to be a little bit visible. So for that is for the y-axis. For the x-axis, I'll come over to the values as well and also give it the same color I gave to the other one. So I'm going to give it this color and I'm going to increase the font size to 12, and then I'll scroll. So for this title, I'm going to turn off the title because the title is already self-explanatory. So from here, you can just see that these are the years for these different dates. So let me just quickly, let me reduce the values a little. Okay, yes. So this is this particular values. This one, this shade is perfect. So I'm going to turn off the title, and that is it for my line chart. So if I click on general tab, I'll quickly go to where I have the title of the chart itself. So I'm going to change this title to streams by release dates. So streams by release date. I'm also going to change the text color. Let me change it to something that is a little bit visible. That is it for my title. Okay, so the next visual I'm going to create is a table visual. So this table visual, I'm going to select table. And for the table visual now, I want to add the month. So I want to see the streams by each of the months. So I'm going to first of all add the month name. Then I'm going to go to Spotify dataset and select the tracks, and then I'll select the streams. So for the track name, we want to count the tracks, okay? So this is how I want this table to look like. Then I'm going to just drag it down to this point. Just going to readjust this table here. So I don't want it to exceed my table. So if it's looking too small, I can also come to my page, format visual page. I'll select it and change the canvas setting. So I'm going to use a custom canvas setting because as I can see this part, I want this table to fit into this particular page. So I can change the height to, let's say, 820. Okay, hope that's not too large. Then I can change the width to 1440 pixel. So I'm going to just drag this down to this point. I'm going to drag that to that point, and I'm going to readjust this. I'm going to readjust my line chart to fit into the new canvas setting. So this is what my table looks like. I'm going to format this table. So first off, I'll just click back on format your visual. Under format visual, for the grid, do we have horizontal grids? No, I don't want to change the horizontal grid. So for the values, for the text color, I want it to have this color. And for the background color, I want it to have the same background color with that particular shade. So the alternate text color should still be the same, and the alternate background color should still be this black color. Okay, so we're going to check if it's the same, and I'll come to general tab, click on effect, remove the entire background. Once I remove the background, I'll come back to click on the visual, and under the visuals, I'm going to go to a specific column. Okay, let me attend to the column headers first. I'm going to select the column headers, and you can see for the text color of the column headers, I'll also give it the same color. For the background color, I'll change it to this black color. Then I'm going to scroll down here. Do we have anything for options? No. I'm going to scroll down here. Then for the total columns, the total, I'm going to change the text color of this total. I want it to have basically the same color. The total is already bold, and that is okay. So if I scroll down, Okay, I'll scroll back up to grid. Under grid, that is where I can find the borders because I want to change the borders. Borders here is giving this showing this blue color, and I want to change that color from blue to the color I'm using for that table. So I'm going to change it to this color. So you can see that the borders have changed totally. The borders have changed, and what else can I do for these data sets? I can increase the data set for the total. So I'll scroll down to where I have the totals, and I can increase it to 14 since it's actually the total. I want it to be bolder than the other ones. So I'm going to select that. Then coming over to specific column, I'm going to select the specific column because I want to change this sum of streams. Okay, I even want to make it an average streams. I want to see the average streams for each of the months. So first off, what I can do is to come back to add data to your visual, and under sum of streams, I'm going to select average. So I can just right click, I can just click here to change the column name. So I can say average streams. So just typing that, I've been able to change the column name. And also here, I can also do the same thing to change the number of tracks, the name for number of tracks. So I'm just going to type number of tracks. So number of tracks, and then I can change this one also to months. So that's, you see that all the headers of my column has actually changed. Then once I'm done, I'll come back to format your visual. Then under specific column, I want to give some units to the average stream. So I'm going to select the particular column I want to attend to. I'm going to select average streams. Then I'm going to scroll down where I have the average streams. So I want to display the units in millions. So you can see that it has already changed, and of course it's giving us the unit in millions. So that is how I want it to display. Then for this same average streams, I also want to give it a conditional formatting. In order to give it a conditional formatting, I'll just, okay, before then, let me click on general tab. Once I click on general tab, I'm going to turn on the title and give it a title. So we can give it the title of tracks and streams by month. So you can give it any other title that you think it's okay for that particular either track and streams by month. Then I'm going to increase this. So that is it for the title. That is it for the title. But one more thing I have to do is I'm going to give a conditional formatting to this average streams. In order to do that, I'll select the add data to your visual. Then under average streams, I'm going to select here and scroll over to where I have conditional formatting, and then I'll come over to data bars. Then under data bars, for the positive bars, I want it to have this green color. So the direction I want it to have is left to right. And I think I might not have any negative value, but if you have, you can change the negative values to red color. And if you want to show only the bars without these values, you can select this. But I want the bars to show including with the values as well. So I'm just going to select OK. So once I select this, you can actually see that there are bars in this particular data visual. So right now, just by looking at these bars, you can see that January has the highest. No, not January. January has the highest number of tracks being released so far with 133 tracks. But if you come down to September, September has the number of tracks to be 56, but September has the highest number of average streams, surpassing January and even May, that also has 128 tracks that was released all through the month of May for the data frame for the time frame of this analysis. So the next thing I can quickly create is to check the sum of streams by day. So I'm going to select a bar chart for this. And under this bar chart, I'm going to select, let me just quickly select the streams from this table. And once I select the streams from this table, I'm going to click on calendar and I want to check the day name. So I can see already that Friday has the highest number of streams. Friday has the highest number of streams so far for this data set. So I'll come over here and then for my x-axis, I'm going to select the values and I want the values to display as 12. For the unit, I want the unit to display in billions. So I'm going to select that and I'm going to remove the title. I want to remove the title. I'm also going to remove let me change the color for these values because I'm going to remove the background color. Then I'll go over to the y-axis and for this y-axis, I'm going to select it and then I'm going to turn off the title. I'm going to turn off the title and I can make this 12. So that is it for this. And for the title, for this title over here, the title of the visual, I'm going to select this and say streams by daily streams. I say daily streams for all tracks. Okay, so that's the daily stream for all tracks and I'm going to change the text color to this particular color. So that is it for my title. And right here on this general tab, I'll click on effect and turn off the background. So once I turn off the background, you can see. So I'm going to increase this. I'll go back to the visual and right on the y-axis for the values, I'm going to change the color. I didn't change the color earlier, so that's why it showed that. Then I'm just going to reduce this. Okay, I'm just going to readjust this a little bit. I'm just going to readjust this a little bit. So you can see that for all the days in this data set, Friday actually has the highest streams for all of the tracks and it surpasses a lot of them because you can see the margin. Just looking at this particular visual, you can see the difference between Friday and the other days of the week. Then for this other part of the dashboard, we're just going to put some information about the artist. So what we're going to do, I'm going to insert a text box. So I'll click on insert and insert text box. So right on this text box, I'm going to type artist most streamed tracks. Then I'm going to select this. Once I select it, I'll increase the font size to 14. Then I'm going to change the font color. I want to change the font color to this. Then I'm just going to make it bold and I'll place it right here. Then under the general tab, I'm going to turn on the effect and turn off the background. So I'm going to select this right now and drag it over to this point. So we're going to see the artist most streamed tracks. So the next, how I'm going to do that, I'll select on my new slicer visual from Power BI. And once I select this new slicer visual, I'll place it right here. Then coming over to my Spotify data set, I'll scroll down and select the track. I'll scroll down and select the track name. Once I select the track name, I'll also select the streams. Okay, then I'll come over to format your visual. Under format your visuals, I'm going to select images. So before I can use my images, I just remembered, before I can use my images, so we have a cover URL right here. So what I can do, I can click on this cover URL right here. So once I click on it, you see the column tools for this particular column that I just selected. Under properties group, in data category, I'm going to select this data category and I'll scroll down to image URL. So I have to change it to an image URL so that I'll be able to display any images if they are found. So I've done that right now, and I'll come back to click on this visual. Then I'll click on format your visual. Then I'll scroll down to where I have images. Then I'll scroll down here, and under images where I have add data, I'll click on it. Then this pop-up shows. I'm going to click on this Spotify dataset and select the cover URL. So you can see that the images are already displaying right here. And if I also, so you can change the way the images are for those particular stuff. So I want it to display as few. Then I'm done. For now, I'm done with the images. You can change any other thing you want to. Then for the callout values, I want to change this color. I want to change this color to this. I want to change this color to this. Then for the labels, I want to add a label to this. So the label is going to carry the artist name. So I'm going to add, once I click label, so there's a field to add data. So I'm going to select this and select the artist name. So once I'm done with the label, I'm just going to allow it here. Then what I'll quickly do is under the track name, I'm going to select this. I'm going to select the track name and I'm going to filter it. So I'll come to top end. I want to select the top one artist by the number of streams, by the sum of streams rather. Then I'll click to apply. So you can see the track that already has the highest sum of streams. So what other thing I can do, because I am using a slicer, I'll click on the layout and I want to click the rows. I want to give it only one row and I want it to also have only one column. So that is how you can fix that if you're using that new slicer. Then I'll come over to effect. I want to turn off the background. Then for the visual itself, for the visual layout, I'll scroll to the buttons and I'll scroll down because I want to change the feel of that button. So you can remove the feel if you want to, but I want to fill it with a color. So I'm just going to select a color. Let's see this if this color works. If it works, we're going to leave it at that. Okay. So this is what the visual color looks like. So you can change it to any other thing that you want to change it to. It's your choice and your preference. I'm going to just turn off this title. For my label, I think the color of my label is not very visible. So I'm just going to scroll down to where I have my labels. So my labels is under the colored values. I'll just scroll down to it and I'm going to select the labels and change this color. So you can see that the labels color is now showing the way it should be. So if you want to align it to the center, you can align it to the center, but I just want it to be aligned to the left. So I'm going to leave it right there. So this is it for this particular visual. So this visual has a border and I wouldn't want to, okay, I'm going to allow the border to stay there. I think the border is cool. So I'm just going to allow it stay right there. So what other thing I can create for this particular visual, I'm going to use a multi-row card to display some informations about this artist most streamed track. So I'm going to select the multi-row card, and on this multi-row card, I'm going to select the track name. I'm going to select the track name, then I'll select the release date, the track name, the release date, and I'll also love to show the streams, including the mode and the key for each of the song. So for this track name, I'm also going to filter it just the same filter I gave to this. So I'm going to use top one. So I'm going to type one here, and by value, I'm going to drag streams down here to show by sum of streams. So this is how it's going to display. So right here, I can just click here, and for the callout values, I want to change the color of my callout values. I'm going to tick off the category labels because card visual does not give an option of maybe aligning your category labels to the right or to the left. I'm going to use a text box to type category labels manually. So after selecting that, I'll just come to General tab, turn on the effect, and I'm going to turn off the background here. So this is how this looks like. So right on this visual, I'll come over to cards and remove the accent bar. So I'm going to remove that, and this is what it looks like. So for now, I'm going to use a text box to put the category labels. So I'm going to select this. Once I select this, I'm going to duplicate this text. I'm going to duplicate this text box. So I'm just quickly going to type the things I need to type. I'll say track name. I'll say track name. Since I want to align it the way I think is okay, I'm just going to type a lot for all of this. So it's just I'll be really fast about this. So for this second one, the second one, I'm going to type release date. So if you have a better way of doing it, you can also do it, and maybe also share it in the comment section so we can learn together. So that's my release date. I'm going to copy and paste, and I'll drag this here to give me the number of streams. So I'll say streams, and that's that. Then the other one is going to be for the mode. So I'll select this and say mode. Then the last one is going to be for the key. So I'm just going to select this and type key. So I can see that I have the information for all of this right now. So you can always adjust this to place it just the way you would want it to be. So I'm going to just adjust this a little bit, and that is okay. So this is the artist most viewed track. This is the name of the track. The artist name is already showing where the image is showing, which is the weekend. So this is the name of the track, the release date, the number of streams, and the mode and the key. So that is how I wanted to show. Then I can also show other statistics for this particular track. I'll click on my new card visual from Power BI, and under this new card visual, I'm going to select the energy. So energy percentage, all this is just like the energy percentage of the song, how danceable is the song, the instrumentals are in the song. Those are the things I'm going to add to this particular card visual. So I'm going to scroll to, okay, yes, I'm going to select energy. I'm going to select speechiness, how much speech is actually in the track. I'm going to select the liveliness of the track so we can see how lively this particular track is. And I'm also going to select the instrumentalness of this track. I'm just going to add like up to 5 stats about the track. Okay. So I'm going to change these titles here. I'm going to change it from Sum of Energy. I'm going to allow it stay there. I'm going to remove this two. Then I'm going to also remove this. So this is me just changing the names of the column directly on the visual. Okay, so I'm going to change that too. I'm just going to change for all of them. So after changing that, right on this data field, I'm going to filter this. So I'm going to drag I'm going to drag the track name down to these data fields here. I don't want it to display on the card, so I'm just dragging it down here because I want to filter it. Then I'm going to say top n. The top n is going to be top one, the same filter I applied to the other part. So I'm going to drag the streams down to these values. Let me scroll up so you can see. Then I'm going to apply this filter. So once I apply this filter, you can see that this statistics is only showing for this particular visual. So when we are going to filter each of the artists or each of the track names, this particular statistics will change according to the name that we are filtering with. So after doing this, I'm just quickly going to click on format visual. Under format visual, I'll first of all come to effect and remove the background. Once I remove that background, I'll allow it there. I can just remove the background and I'll come over to my visual. Then for the cards also, I want to remove the fill, and I also want to remove the border for those cards. Then I'll scroll up to where I have call out values. So for these call out values, I'm going to change them to this color. I'm going to change the color values to that particular color, and they are very large, so I can reduce it to 20. Okay, so I think 20 is okay, but if it's not okay by you, you can reduce it to whatever font size you want to reduce it to. Then I'm going to scroll down. Then under the labels, for the labels in this new card visual, there's an option to place it above the value or below the value. So I'm just going to place it below the values. So you can see that the label has changed to be placed below the values. Then I'm also going to change the colors of the label. Then I will align everything to the center. So this is how this visual looks like after being aligned. And for the title of this, I'm just going to give it like a subtitle, say music info. So I'm going to select this text. I'm going to select this text box. I'll just copy it and bring it down. I'll bring it down to this point and say and type music info. Once I type that, I'm going to select it and underline it. I'm just going to reduce the size of the text box and bring it directly down here. So you can see that this is the information about this music. Okay, so this is basically how I want this particular chart to show. Then for this last part, I'm going to show you the top 5 tracks that has the highest number of streams, and we are still going to use our new slicer. So in order to do that, I'll quickly click on new slicer, and I'm going to click on the track name and click on the streams. So I'll click on format visual. Then under format visual, I'll go to images. Under images, I'll click to add data, and then I'll select here and click cover URL. So for this cover URL now, I'm done with the images for now. So I'm just going to go to I'll go to call out values and scroll down to where I have labels. So I'll turn on the labels. So for these labels, the data I'm going to add to these labels is just the artist name. So I'm going to add the artist name to that label. Then right here on the filter pane, under this track name, I'm going to select because I want to filter it by top 5. So I want to see the top 5 tracks that has the highest number of streams. So I'm going to drag streams from this table and place it by value. Click on apply filter. So you can see that it has already filtered to show us the top 5 tracks that has the highest number of streams. So what I can do is to scroll up and come to layout. So for this layout, I want to have only one rows, and I want to have 5 columns since I'm looking out for the top five tracks that has highest number of streams. So I can also reduce the spaces between the cards. Then I'll just readjust the card so it's placed nicely where it should be. So this is the way the card visual will look like. Then one more thing, I can click on general tab, remove the background. Then for the visual, we have to change the callout values. We have to change the callout values because once I change the buttons, once I remove background from the buttons, we won't see the color values will not be visible. So if I turn this off, of course, you can see how it's looking, but I'm going to turn it back on because I want to give it a color. So I want to give it this color. I think the color is too dark. Okay, this one is perfect. And I'm going to scroll up. So once I scroll up, I'm going to, under the values, I'm going to change the color to this. Then for the labels, I am going to change the colors. I'm going to change the colors of the labels to this. So you can see the colors now. If you want to increase the size of the labels, you can increase it. Or if you want to increase the size of the callout values, you can also increase it. But I want it to stay like this. Then I also want to remove borders from my buttons. I don't want my buttons to have borders. Okay, I prefer the border for this first one, but for these ones I don't want them to have borders, so I'm just going to scroll, and under border I'm going to remove the borders for each of them. So after removing the borders, I'll come to general and type the title, top 5 most streamed tracks, top 5 most streamed tracks. Okay, and that is the title. All right, I think this is okay. And I'm going to give it this and make it bold because that's the title of this particular visual. So right now you can see that we are almost done. So okay, I remembered when I changed the canvas settings, I did not readjust this. So I'm just going to readjust them now to place them nicely where they are supposed to be. I'm just going to readjust this. Okay, and this is how it is. So right now we are almost done with all the visuals. The last thing I need to add to this particular dashboard is just the filters for this dashboard. So we're going to add 3 filters. So we're going to add for artist. I'll select the slicer button. I'm going to select the track name. So for this track name, I'll click on format your visual. I'll change the slicer settings to a drop down. I'll change the slider setting to a drop down, and I'm going to remove the slicer headers. So for the values here, the font color is okay. That's the font color. Then for the background color, I'm going to give it this particular color. Then I'll click on general tab and remove the entire background for that. Then I'll give it a title, and with this title here, I'm going to type tracks. So you already know that that is for tracks. Then I'll align this title to the center, change the text color to something visible. So that is it for tracks. I'm just going to select it back. Then I would want to give it a border. So I'm going to change the color for this border. So the color, I'll change it to this same color. I want it to have that color. Then I'm going to drag it down here. So that is it for the track. So if you select it, you can see a whole lot of tracks. So one more thing I want to quickly do here is to select these more options for this slicer visual. So once I select it, I'm going to activate the stage. So what this stage does is that since we have a lot of tracks and a lot of artist name, if I select this now, you see that this stage is activated. So if you know the name of the track, you can start typing it and the name will start showing, so you can select it immediately without having to scroll down to wherever the name is. So that is what the search button that I just activated does. So that is it for the track visual, and it's okay like this. I want to add a visual border, so I'm going to click back on that slicer visual, select on general tab and come over to visual border. So for this visual border, I'll select to change the color. So this visual border, this is what I want, this border out here. That's how I want it to display. So I can just duplicate this and create a slicer for date. So I'm going to remove the track name, going to create a date slicer. So for this date slicer, I'm going to change the slicer settings because I don't want it to be a drop down. I want it to be between. So for the values, I'm going to change the font color so you can see what the values are like. So that is it for the date slicer, and I'm going to select this title. So I'll change the title to date, and that is it for my date slicer. So if I click on any date, you can see the year. If you want to select any year immediately, just select it and you can select the month from each of this year. Okay, so you can use this up and down arrows to select any of it. But if you want to add slider to your, there's already a slider here that I'm going to remove. If you want your own date to have a slider that you can easily slide to see the range of dates, then you can allow it, but I'm going to remove the slider from my own date slicer. So I'm going to just turn it off. Then I'm going to copy this. So this last slicer, I'm going to create this last slicer for our artist. So this is the last slicers for our artist. I'm going to select it now and I'm going to remove the track names and include the artist name. So it's already a drop down. What I can do as the last thing is to change the title. So the title is going to be artist. So I'm going to change that title to artist. So this is how you can create a very simple music dashboard. If you want to create other pages for your dashboard, you can go ahead and create it. But this is basically how you can do. Then one more thing I want to show you is how to edit interactions. So this interaction for this particular artist visual here, if I select any of the artists here, you can see that it is interacting with everything right here. It is interacting with all these visuals, and I don't want it to interact with all these visuals. So what I can do, I'll select this artist, the slicer, and I'll come over to format tab. Under format tab, I'll click on edit interactions. So you can see that all the visuals interaction is already showing. So once selected on this slicer, I'm going to turn off interactions for some visuals because I don't want them to be affected by this particular slicer. So I'm just going to turn off this interaction. I'm going to turn this off because these are general overview. I'm also going to turn this off. I'm going to turn that off. So I can leave this one right here, this total stream, tracks and average stream. So as you're selecting the artist, you can see their total streams, the tracks and every other thing. Then what I'm also going to turn off is the top 5 stream tracks. This one should be on its own. It should not interact with any visual. So I'm just going to turn that off for this particular visual. So this is where I want the artist slicer to really affect this visual. So this is it. I'm just going to leave this ones on, and that is it. Once you're done editing any interaction, just click back on edit interaction. You can see that all those interaction buttons have gone off. So if I go back now to edit, if I go back now to select any of the artists, you see the difference. So if I click back on 50 Cent, you can see that these visuals are not interacting anymore with these slicers because I have turned it off. So it is only interacting with this. If I turn off 50 Cent, it's going to show the top one artist. But if I turn this on, you can see that these total streams have changed and the information about this particular artist has also changed, including with the music info. So that is how you can edit interactions. So you can edit interactions for all your visuals. You can also do the same thing for each of these visuals that you've created, because at any point if you mistakenly click anything on your visual, it's going to interact with every other visual on your report, and if you don't want that, you can always turn off those interactions. So this is basically how you can create a very simple dashboard like this. I'm going to just include this data set in the description box. So if you want to try out something, if you want to create another dashboard with some of the things that you've learned in this video. You can go ahead and try your hands on them. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please, if you learned something, please like, share, comment, and don't fail to subscribe to my channel to get more insightful videos like this. Thank you so much.